when you are doing basketball coaching, what worked well for you?
Okay, so for me, right, I think when we are teaching a skill or a task, where we give like instructions, I believe that students need time to digest and think. For example, I have a team of 4 or 5. I'm telling them to do like a pass all the way to the other side of the court. Then when I'm describing the task, of course not all of them will understand what I'm saying. Okay, so I believe that they should explore what I'm talking about during that whole task. So on the first time, right, I will not expect like perfection from the kids. Yeah, so I'll give myself some time as well as for them to make sure that the next time they do it, it'll be better than the first time. Yeah, so I believe giving them time to digest and think about what they just did is important for them. So during training, I'll think about how much time they need. So some of them need longer time, some of them need shorter time.
Adding on to what Su just said about exploration, for my end when I'm coaching, I also like students to explore their own and not just me always giving instructions. For example, if I want to teach a skill of, let's say, dribbling, then I will name a skill, let's say crossover, and I'll just let them try out first rather than just straight away breaking the skill down, or this is what I should do, this is what I should do. Then after that, since they are like maybe struggling or what, then I'll ask them, so what went well for them, or what do you think is not good for them? I feel by asking all these questions, right, it will make them think and reflect on their own rather than me just or saying this is a correct move, this is a wrong move, that kind of thing. This also ties in with improving on their critical thinking skills, letting them explore on their own, letting them improve on their own. I think as I said before, it's the players that are playing. The coach can say a lot of things, but on the court, if the players cannot think on their own, then they will lose out.
Yeah, I think adding on to your point, right, critical thinking and scaffolding their learning is very important. For example, dribbling, right, I used to tell my students to just dribble the ball, then try to let them explore, try to dribble the ball low, dribble the ball high, and then I ask them questions like, which one is easier for you to manage? So they'll tell me which one is easier, and then from there they actually will know like which is a more comfortable or more efficient way of dribbling the ball. And then in the game sometimes I will try to remind them, remember last time when you're dribbling practice, you say which height of the ball is easy, right? Then I'll remind them that this is the height, so they can relate back to their practice and then able to do it.
I think the time for them to explore and not us straight away cutting in is also very important, because if you get them to explore and they are still thinking, right, but then if we straight away tell them to gather and we give them an answer, then that spoils the chain of thought for them. So I think from my experience, right, like back then when I first started coaching, I will have a tendency to straight away just gather them and not letting them to think on their own or discuss among themselves. Yeah, because back then I thought the coach job is to provide answers for them. As time progresses, I feel that it's also important for students to think on their own. Them telling us the answer should be the way to go. So if the students give, let's say, a good answer, yeah, we can praise them. Yeah, then say, actually that's a very good point that they brought up. Then I think that will also give them confidence. But then if they maybe give like an answer which maybe might not make so much sense, it's okay. We also give them encouragement.
Yeah, I think time is important. Like during one of my practice, I only give them like one task to get past the court with only just passing. So it's a very fast game because it's just going up and down, up and down. I didn't give much instruction, but when I start to see the drill wasn't as smooth as they thought, or I find them having challenges to get past the court or getting across, that's a time whereby I think I would freeze everybody. I think when at that point of time where everybody finds a struggle, they will start to feel like they need to talk to somebody, like a teammate. So that's the time whereby I will stop the whole drill, freeze everybody, go to your group and then start discussion. It's like in the middle of training. Yeah, so I give them this purpose to go and discuss something out and then try to solve the issue with each other, and then you get back the game again. So I think this timing for them to discuss is really important, because that's where people start to share what's their thoughts and how they feel and what can be done better. So I think this discussion time is also quite important in the practice itself, like a team talk, like a timeout game. I think they already know the solution. They just don't have time on the court because it's so fast paced. Yeah, so they couldn't have time to talk. So I call a timeout for them, and then they just say what they need to say. And then subsequently, when they start playing, things got better. So after that, I also say that this kind of timeout, you don't need for me to ask for it to stop. But you guys during the break, when you're waiting for the next team to come and play, you can just quickly talk quick one, a concise one, then just work on it again. Yeah, so I try to promote this kind of communication, collaborative learning in there.
Adding on to all this discussion or team talk, right? I also have this habit of letting them, let's say the players found a problem, rather than me just cutting in to give the solution, just discuss among themselves and let them try on their own lah. If it feels it's okay, then we'll regather, then let them talk again lor. This also applies like in competitions also lah. Like for example, let's say after a whole game, I would allow them to reflect and do like those after action reflection on the whole game and just letting them share their opinions on the game lah. Because I feel the player's voice is also very important, not just the coach's voice. Yeah, because the coach can say whatever strategy, whatever motivation talk to them, but if the players they themselves never like understand or receive all this information, right, then there's also no use. So I would rather the players they themselves go and find the solution themselves, they themselves reflect on the game, then they just give suggestions to their own team lah.
When I start introducing the discussion part during the training itself, I actually give them a bit longer time, because when someone is practicing a new skill, they need longer time, right? So same thing as discussion, they also need some time to start off that discussion or like to discuss what to talk about. I think it's important to give them a longer period of time to discuss and then give them some questions for them to answer. Then subsequently, we try to reduce the time so that they can be more concise with what they're going to tell their teammates. And maybe can just help them to refocus themselves to like one pointer instead of like a few questions. Like, what's the one thing you want to work on this time round? As we progress, they will get better at discussion. So we need to give them some time to discuss first, then subsequently reduce the time for them.